Okay, thank you very much, Mercy. Um, thank you for that long introduction. My name is Adekunle Ogunlade. I'm an information security specialist and a business analyst, okay, for Sunway. And in this class, we're talking about improving business process. Okay, permit me to share my screen briefly. Improving business process. So it's important for us to understand how we can improve business process. Please give me a second. It's coming up. Okay. All right. Can we see my screen, please?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Mercy. So, in this class, we're talking about improving business process. Okay. So, as business analysts, as business owners, it's important for us to understand how we can improve our business processes, how we can deliver value to the customers easily. Okay. And also, we're looking at frameworks that can guide us in this endeavor. As business analysts in different departments, it's important to understand what we need to achieve within the department and from the high level to every task that needs to be completed. Now, let's say these very aspects will really determine the success or the failure of the organization or the business. Because if you can't deliver your value, okay, the value of the business to the customers, I mean, you soon go out of market. All right. And over the past couple of years, I've seen businesses throwing one or two tech solution into different processes, and at the end of the day, it still doesn't meet, still doesn't meet the need of that improvement. Okay, we want to improve this process. Hey, why don't you deploy this solution? No, that's not the go-to. That's not the first call. That should not be the first call. Okay, so understanding the process, understanding the value chain, understanding the value stream process, understanding what the customer needs is very important. And delivering these values to the customer should be our utmost priority. Okay, so we're looking at how we can improve the business services. And yes, I can say that um, throwing in a particular tech solution or a software doesn't really solve a problem. Okay, it doesn't solve the problem. Not all tech solutions should be, used for any minor, challenge that comes up with regards to improving a particular process. Okay, so in this class, we're facing reality, we're looking at the practical realities and what we need to do. Okay, what are business processes? Business processes are step-by-step actions that organizations follow to deliver products or services to the customers, right? In other words, it's just sequence of tasks, okay? These tasks are linked together. Step A, step B, step C, value to the customers, okay? And there's need for us to improve these processes, okay? It's very important for us to improve the business process. At least it helps efficiency and effectively deliver these values to the customer. Okay, that's one reason why we need to improve our business process. We have a working business process. Wow, it's beautiful. Let's take, for example, sometimes back I had this engagement with the bank, and the human resource department, they had two solutions. One was a globally recognized, HR solution that's used within the bank. The second one, it's a solution that was custom built by the developers within the bank. But when it comes to leave application, as simple as leave application, it was a problem within the bank. Let's say, for example, I want to apply for leave. So what they had initially was, I want to apply for leave as an employee. I'll first of all print out a fiscal leave application document, a paper, and then I will, kind of fill it up, handwritten, scan it, and then upload it to the HR solution that was purchased, that was provided by a third party, by a vendor. Once my head of department sees that application, he will now upload it, download it, print it, sign on it, his own part, and then scan it and upload it into the custom built solution that was designed by the tech team within the bank. So after back and forth discussion with the human resource department, they were like, no, we want this thing to be very simple. You upload it from one position and it goes to another position. And I kept asking, why do you need to scan and upload? Okay, why not have a template on this HR solution that has been provided by you, provided by the IT team, and also or the one that was provided by the by a vendor? Just have a solution, a simple form. You fill up that form, you submit it, it gets to the head of department. The head of department approves, assign your tasks to the next person that will take over to do the job. And I mean, very simple, streamlined process. Okay, so we had to revise the whole process, start from scratch, dissolve everything they had, and build a very simple, leave application process for them. And the bottleneck was simply because there's no business analyst within the human resource department, no business analyst in the IT department. Okay, so there's this gap. They don't communicate. If the HR department says we need A, the tech team may just end up creating ABC. Okay, too much work, too much process for a simple task. Okay, so it's important for us to know the process that we should improve within our business. Okay, so right now there are 3 levels of business hierarchy. Okay, three levels of business process hierarchy to represent how each task relates to the business process and how each process relates to the value stream. The first level is the enterprise level, focuses on the high-level value, the high-level value stream, major activities. This just takes into consideration the major activities from the high level, okay, that needs to be completed. The next one is the event response level, shows how the business reacts to specific events. It outlines which departments or people take actions and in what order. So this just shows how the business reacts to specific events. It outlines which departments or people take actions and in what order the action will be taken. And the third level is the actor task level. And this breaks down, every task and makes it more specific. Okay, it is the most detailed level. It breaks it down further into what every individual must do. Okay, into what every individual must do in the business process. Let's look at a framework that we can use with regards to business analysis. Okay, improving the business processes. Such framework is the SIPOC framework. Okay, and it stands for the suppliers who provides inputs, what is used in the process when it comes to inputs, and then the processes, what steps are taken, outputs, what is the end result, customers who receives the results. This helps to map and understand how work flows across an organization. Okay, how work flows across an organization. Let's do a simple analysis. Let's use SIPOC. Okay, and from what we can see here, let's say, for example, we manage a pizza restaurant, or let's say Domino Pizza, for example. Okay, and then we're trying to use SIPOC to improve the process. Let me tag this here. And let's say we're trying to use SIPOC to improve the process. First of all, in the development, the production of this pizza, we need our suppliers. Okay, we need suppliers that can provide things like flour, suppliers that can give us sugar, milk, and what have we? Even the gas. Yes, the gas for the burner, for the stove or oven. Okay, we need electricity. So we are taking suppliers into consideration. When it comes to inputs may include things like the customer's order. Okay, these are inputs. Before you start the pizza process, the customer should be able to place an order. And parts of the inputs will also include the pizza dough, the toppings, the oven heat. Okay, so this will be considered as inputs. Okay, and let's take a look at the process. Process may include take the customer order, prepare the pizza, bake the pizza. These are inputs. These are processes. Okay, the process that we need to carry out before the pizza comes out. Okay, and also we need to box the pizza. Okay, after baking, we box the pizza and then we take it out to the delivery section. Output. This may include the final product. That's the baked pizza, the prepared pizza. Okay, and also the customers. We cannot have this process. We cannot start the pizza preparation process without getting a kind of request from the customer. Okay, and while getting this request, we should have a kind of a solution that can help us take this input from the customer and including the payments. Okay, and we start processing. Okay, we start working on delivering this pizza to the customer. So this is a very simple example of how we can make use of the SciPoc framework. Okay, it takes into consideration the suppliers, the inputs, the processes, the outputs, the customers. Okay, at each level, we should be able to break down what we need or what is coming or going into every aspect of every part of the SciPoc framework. Let's look at as is and to be process models. Looking at the bank example I gave earlier, there's an as is model, which means what we have as at now. Today, what are we doing? Okay, what are we doing today? To be is what do we want to get to? What level do we want to get to? Okay, what is our target? That is the to be state. As is shows how things currently work. What do we have working right now? Let's not discard it totally. Let's study what we have. Let's look at how we can improve what we have into the to be state. So the to be model shows how things should work after improvements. This comparison helps identify gaps. In other words, we are doing a very simple gap analysis. Okay, so we're doing a very simple gap analysis. We're trying to move from the as is to be state. Excuse me. Let's say looking at the bank process earlier, an as is state is you printing out a fiscal form and then you manually fill up the leave application and sign on it. But the to be state, creates a very simple online form on a section of the human resource add-on, okay, that's used within the organization. A very simple form that's online that everybody can easily sign, okay, from the HOD to the overall manager. All this can be automated. That's the to be state. Okay, so I'm moving from the fiscal manual process to the automated state, which we can all agree that it's going to be faster, better, and easier to use. Okay, so improving business process. Improvements, okay, may include automating tasks. Okay, automating tasks. Automating tasks can really improve a business process. Reducing errors. Okay, errors can come in from maybe more from other results once you complete a process and it needs another person to put in another input. Okay, so this may bring up errors as the process keeps taking longer and more steps to complete. Okay, reassigning roles. This can also happen, aligning processes to customer needs and removing wasteful steps. Okay, so these are steps that we can take to improve the business process. And once we've improved the business process, it makes the business process more efficient, more effective. It reduces errors, okay? It reduces costs. It reduces the time needed to complete a particular process. We're going to take a look at some examples as we go. Process measurements. Now, these are KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. How do we know that a particular change is working fine? How do we measure what we've done? How do we measure this improvement? What do we call success once we improve a particular business process? One thing we can look at is the time taken. Okay, how long does it take to move from point A to point B? How long does it take from getting this order to delivering this value to the customer? Okay, so this can be used to understand if the process improvement is a success or if we need to go back to the drawing board. Okay, another KPI is the cost involved, the financial implication. Okay, how much did we gain? Okay, how much did we lose improving this process? Okay, by the time we move from point A to point B, how much have we saved for the business, for the company? Okay, so looking at this will actually tell top management that yes, this is what we will save at the end of the day if we, improve this process by following ABC steps. Okay, it gives the top management an understanding of, how it will benefit the business. The error rates, how much errors are we going to eliminate from the whole process? And when it comes to customer satisfaction, we can easily get this using surveys, right? We can get this using surveys. At the end of every process, we ask the customer, will you be willing to, refer us to other customers? Can you rate us, between 1 to 5 stars? Okay, so this will really help to understand the customer's perspective at the end of delivering, at the end of the whole process. Okay, once the customer gets this value, we ask the customer to rate the process if it has improved or if there are still bottlenecks, right? So we can get these feedbacks and use it to understand if we've really improved the process, if the improvement makes sense, if it will really benefit, the business. Okay, why process improvement matters. Number one, it makes work smoother and faster. It reduces frustrations and eliminates bottlenecks. When you know you want to get to point C, and then, if you can eliminate point B, please eliminate point B. If that will reduce the time, improve, the speed, and also help the business save money, please do it. Saving money, that's another reason why this matters. Okay, increases efficiency, and of course, that means lowering reduction in operational costs. Okay, once we can reduce the operational cost of the process, yes, we'll save money for the business. And thirdly, enhance customer experience. Okay, when we can enhance the customer experience, when we can deliver better, more reliable services, it increases loyalty, right? It increases the trust that the customer will have on the business. Okay, so that's one reason why we should improve we should strive, okay, to improve the business process. Increasing employee productivity. Okay, the time taken to scan, print, rescan, upload, that time can be used for something more important, okay? And it will also, when it comes to automating tasks, right, if you understand the repetitive tasks within the business, you can automate these tasks while employees can spend that time on more productive activities, okay? Can spend the time on more productive activities. Let's say, for example, we have this very simple example where a university improved the student registration process by moving this process online. Back then in 2006, one of the process of doing the admission and registration, we had to print out these forms and then take them from one department to another just to receive one person's signature. Okay, just one person will have to sign and stamp. That's all. So manual, so chaotic process. You print so many documents and then start taking them from one department to another just to receive one signature, one person's signature. Okay, that's too chaotic. A university improved its student registration process by moving it online. As a result, the work is smoother because there are no more long lines. The university saves money by needing fewer, staff. the customer, which is a student, experience is enhanced. Okay. But fast forward to 2020, 2021, we can see so many institutions making use of automated system. You just, you click, you make payments from the comfort of your home. You do everything on your computer. There's no point going outside to meet somebody within one department that will sign and, stamp something that will now be printed and stored physically. Okay. Finally, employee productivity increases because administrative staff can now focus on handling complex cases instead of simple data entry. Okay, so in this aspect, automating the process, taking it online will actually reduce a whole lot of bottlenecks. And like I said, taking it online, throwing tech into a solution doesn't really improve the process. If you throw in tech, but even in the online process, if it's not streamlined, it will still create problems. Okay, it will still create problems at the end of the day. But we really need to understand this and understand the business process before we can start improving the business process. Do we have any questions, please? Any questions, please? If you have any questions, can we hear me, please? Am I audible? Can anybody hear me? Okay,
yes, you're
thank you.
audible. I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's take a look at another example, right? So this one example, let's take a look at another example. Let's say, for example, fresh fare grocery delivery service. Okay, for example. Okay, so what we're trying to do, we're trying to improve the customer complaint process. Okay, once a customer, makes a complaint, we're trying to improve the process. From the first point, from the enterprise level, customer support value stream. There's the event response level where the process is triggered when a customer submits a complaint via email. What we have presently is the complaint email goes to a general inbox. A support agent reads the email and forwards it to the right department. The department investigates and emails a response to the customer, to the support agent, okay? And then the agent emails the final response to the customer. What is the problem with this process? What is the problem with this process? Please, you can type in our answers. What problems do we see with this in this process? The complaint email goes to the general inbox. The support agent reads the email and forwards it to the right department, maybe billing or delivery. The department investigates the email and responds to the support agent. The agent emails the final response to the customer. What is the problem with this process? Anybody, please? We are 48 in numbers. Okay, thank you, Ademola. Time consuming to solving the customer's challenge. Yes, that's one problem. That's one problem. Definitely to take time because once the email gets to the general inbox, someone will need to now send it, forward it to the right department. Okay, and then the department will have to investigate. Okay, the problem is that it will take a longer time before the complaint is being attended to, as there may be a lot of server messages, complaint perfect. Yes, I agree. I think the email should go directly to the appropriate department. Yes. So we're going to the next stage, which is the to be state. Lack of optimization of processes. Yes. We are very much correct. The process is not right. Well, that was what they had. There's a lot of channel of communication for a single complaint. Yes. So it's too chaotic. We need too many people to carry out this process. But let's take a look at how we can improve this process, right? So one thing we can do with regards to improvement is to, email direct to the appropriate department. Well, yes, email direct to the appropriate department. For businesses that does not provide a kind of feedback forms on their portals, on their website, this is going to be really chaotic because One easy way to go around this is to provide a feedback form where you select the department, what your pain points, if it's billing, if it's bad delivery, bad products. I mean, you know the department to, send that particular form to from the front end where you fill that complaint form. Okay, so it's important for businesses to have that so that if this business have that in place, then the complaint will go to the right department if it's billing or delivery. Okay, and then let's look at excuse me. Okay, SIPOC of the as is process. Supplier in the SIPOC framework. We have the customer, we have the delivery team. Inputs, we have the complaint email, we have the order number, because before a customer will lay complaints, they should have ordered our product. The process is still the as is, okay, and then output, resolution, email, refund if necessary, and then the customer is the original complainant. To be, what can we do better? Okay, process improvement. When a customer submits a complaint through a web form, a ticket is automatically created and routed to the correct team based on the complaint category. Okay. Reducing errors, all communication is logged in the ticket, so nothing gets lost. The support agent is now empowered to issue a refund up to $20 without needing manager approval, speeding up resolution of minor issues. Then when it comes to removing wasteful step, the wasteful step of forwarding emails back and forth is eliminated. Okay, so the process of sending emails back and forth, that will be eliminated if we can improve the process. And sure ways in which we can measure this process improvement. Number one is the resolution time. Okay, the resolution time. Back during one of my reincarnation years, one of my lifetimes, I was a customer care agent with one of the big telecom companies in Nigeria. We usually have what is called the average handling time, and we're all expected to satisfy a customer within 2 minutes. So once you get the call, welcome, you must satisfy that customer within 2 minutes. So target resolution time is now less than 24 hours. The time an agent spends per ticket is tracked. Okay. Customer satisfaction. A survey is sent out after satisfying a customer to rate the time. So this will now be used to track the process improvement. It will now be used to track the process improvement. Back then, we had a solution which we used for managing these calls and taking these calls. But there's something the IT team did that was really interesting, and that was if you log in, the moment you log into the computer, right, your login details is the same details that you use across all applications that you have access to. So it's a kind of role-based access control. Okay, as a customer care agent, your username and password is used to log into the computer, to any computer at all. That's what you use with all the other applications. So we know who does what per time. Okay, so that's one way of improving the business process. Even after throwing automation, throwing tech into the system, or before throwing tech into the system, understand what you want to achieve. Okay, so this process can be measured, it can be tracked. Okay, and we can pull out this KPI to show that yes, we've really improved this process. So, do we have any questions, please? Any questions? We've come to the end of this class, a very short class. Okay. Do you have any questions for me?
All right, if you have a question, feel free to ask.
Please feel free. Okay, I think we can go straight to the assessments. So let's, I'm sure that The assessment will not be a challenge to us. Please ask questions. So I want to believe at this point we can all sit back, go back to our businesses and look at ways in which we can improve every process. Okay, take a process, sit down and look at how we can improve the process. Draw it out, it must make sense. Okay, it must make sense. And don't start by throwing tech into every problem. Okay, tech doesn't solve every problem. Okay, tech doesn't solve every problem. Poorly implemented tech will just create more bottlenecks for you. That's the truth. Poorly implemented tech will create bottlenecks and so many clicking back and forth. We don't want that. Okay, we don't want that in our business. Thank you all for your time. Okay, the slides should display, or I should share the slides. Okay, if I can highlight on the major points. First, we have a CIPOC framework. The framework that we can use to improve the business process, where we'll take into consideration things like the suppliers, and it stands for the suppliers, input, processes, output, and customers. Okay, suppliers, who provides inputs, what is used in the process, processes, what steps are taken, output, what is the result, okay, and then customers who receive the results, okay. That's the SIPOC. And then the as is process is showing us how things currently work. Okay, so in our business, in our various departments at work, sit down and draw out how, we have the process. How is it working? What do we have right now? And then look at where there's wastage, where there's more cost, looking at how we can improve the process to reduce wastage, reduce the cost of running that particular process. And that will get us to the to be model or to the to be state. Improvements steps may include things like automating the task. If it's a repetitive task, we can automate, um, reducing errors, reassigning roles, and assigning processes to customer needs, removing wasteful steps. Okay, so these are improvements that we can actually throw into the business process. And with regards to performance indicators, measuring the KPI, KPIs that can be measured includes time taken to complete the process, the cost, okay, the costs involved, the error rates, and the customer satisfaction. If we change a process and it's costing us more to run that process, please go back to the previous process. Just roll back to the previous process because one of the very important of improving the process is to reduce the cost of running that process. Okay, the cost. Okay, so and these are just examples. I believe we have access to this slide. Thank you all for your time. In absence of any question, I think I can turn off my camera and the mic now. Edit.
Thank you so much, Henry. Please, if you have a question, feel free to ask. Before we go, I think this is the shortest session we've had since we started, but it's quite interesting. Thank you so much, Henry. Thank you. Any question? The slides will be shared to every one of you as usual. I don't expect you to be asking these questions again because we share the slides every week. Okay, so if you're on the group, you don't have to worry, you will get the slide. All right. Okay, I think what's your request, please, Adebayo? I think the SIPOC process isn't complete without a request. Maybe I think that's a question for you to answer. Are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm right here. Okay, so let's look at
Okay, so
the cycle process again. Okay, right here we
mhm.
have the suppliers, the inputs, the processes, the outputs, and the customers. Okay, and that's a cycle. Okay, that's what cycle stands for. Okay, so let's look at a request. When you have a complaint, for example, where do you think it will fall into? Will it fall into suppliers or inputs? Or will it go to outputs? Are we together?
Please ask your question again if you can get
Okay, so the
ask again.
request. Okay, I think the cycle process isn't complete without a request. So once you have a request, for example, you're making a request for what? Okay, supplies based on the request. Well, I won't put it under supplies, right? I'll put it under inputs. Okay, let's take, for example, the customer complaint. Let's go back to the customer complaint example. Okay, once we have a customer, complain about a particular process, that comes into the business as an input. Okay, it's a request. Maybe let's say the customer wants to, we have a customer that wants to reactivate their account. Okay, we have businesses that once you delete an account or once you suspend an account, you have to make a request to reactivate that account. Okay, that comes in as an input. Okay, so even though yes, it's coming from the customer, but then it will come in as an input into the business. Okay, and you take that input to work on what the customer needs. Okay, so I'll put a request under input. Are we good? Adebayo, I think the cycle process isn't complete without a request. I'll put that request under input if it's coming to the business. So depending on type of request, that's why there's need for you to sit down and really understand the whole value chain, okay, the value stream within the organization or for every process. Did I answer your question? Did I answer your question, Adebayo? Okay, thank you.
You have another question. You spoke about reducing the cost for the process. How do one go about it when a particular budget increase in the cost?
You spoke about reducing the costs for the process. How do one go about it when a particular budget increases in the cost? Maybe you want to rephrase this question, right? For most organizations, they have budgets for the year. Okay, let's say you want to carry out trainings for your staff, for your employees, for example, and you've already set aside 100,000 naira for that for training. For example, okay, you've said within the organization, we've set aside annual training budgets, 100,000 naira, okay, and all of a sudden you're trying to implement a standard, let's say ISO 27001, and ISO 27001 is asking you that you must have a lead implementer and a lead auditor within your organization. And let's say you're an organization of 100 or 50 staff, and at least you should have 4 persons trained, 2 LI, 2 LA. For example, the cost of LI and LA is not, those trainings are not cheap. Okay, taking those trainings are not cheap. But then you've had a budget of 100,000 naira for capacity building, right? So, but then you need this training for your LI and LA. But at the end of the day, what value are you getting after the implementation of the LI and the LA, after the implementation of the ISO 27001? Okay, does it worth it? Okay, so we are trying to reduce the cost of a process. But then how do one go about it when the particular budget increases in the cost? Once the cost increases in the budget, maybe that's what they're trying to type. But I'm trying to just go around the question to really understand what you want or what you're trying to ask. Can you please unmute? Can you unmute your mic? Bolaninwa,
Damola, please unmute him to ask his question, please. Thank you.
that's Bolaninwa Elizabeth. Are you still there? Please, can you unmute and ask?
Okay, you can go ahead and unmute yourself now, please, and ask a question.
Bolaninwa, please proceed. Bolaninwa, please proceed with your question. Please unmute and ask.
I think she's no longer on, or probably you've answered the question while you were answering others. Probably.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, go ahead and
Yeah, well,
speak.
Okay, yeah, this is Gabriel. I was going to ask the same question. You said if a new business process will cost us more, we should go back to the old one. What if what we have now is better?
what if what we have now is better?
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
like,
the goal is actually to, improve the business process. I mean, like I
okay,
said, just the way you won't throw tech into every process is the way you, keep monitoring your process for improvement. If there's no need to improve a process, you leave it. If it's working fine, if it serves the purpose and, it produces the good value, you leave it. There's no point. Okay.
no, that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. You said if a new business process will cost us more than what we have before.
Yes.
But now the question I'm asking is, if the new one now is more expensive, but then it can serve us better, should we abandon it and go back to what we were doing before that was not serving us?
Let me go to this page. Okay. So you have a business process that costs more. Let's say it costs 100,000 naira more, but at the end of that process, you have 1 million naira as a profit. At the end of the day, you're making more, even if that process costs something higher. Because that's the only way I will want to proceed with that improvement. If it costs too much to the business and doesn't bring any value, why improving the process? Why changing it? Are we together, Gabriel?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've improved the process. It costs less time. It's costing us much. Yes, but at the end of the day, there should be an overall cost impact to the business. Okay, we are just improving a process here. We are just improving one process. There are other processes within the business. Okay, but then if this one process is costing us much, but at the end of the day, the overall business process is going fine, okay, and it's being improved, well, yes. But if this cost is affecting the overall business process, I don't think I want to proceed with that, drawback. I won't call it an improvement. We are going back. We want to sit down. Let's go back to the drawing board. Look at the whole process again. Okay, look at how it affects other parts of the business. Okay, look at how it can cost us less before we proceed with that improvement. So I won't call it an improvement if it's costing the process much and if it's costing the overall business. Okay, so we need to go back to the drawing board in this aspect.
Okay. Understood.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, I feel we do not have any question. Okay, so thank you so much. Please, a round of applause to our trainer for this second session. Adekunle Ogunade, thank you so much. I enjoyed your session. So we've had 2 sessions so far for today. Please, can we give him a round of applause? Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Omolara. Thank you. Okay, without further waste of time, thank you, everyone. So without further waste of time, I just want to take just few announcements before we go on a quick break, okay? So for those of us that are on the call, please, if you are here to pay up your registration fee, a moment. All right, okay.